Okay, when you're ready.
Okay, so for my final major project, I decided to make a documentary on the decline of music education. So the reason why I chose a documentary is for a few reasons. So first of all, I realised that a documentary was good because I've made two other documentaries this year. There was of course the one we did at the start of the year and the one I did just before my final major project. I saw this as an opportunity to gather all the skills I've learned from these two projects and apply them to this project to show what I've learned and what I can do to show that this is the best project I've done so far. I also wanted to focus on an informative topic as my aim was to educate, and also I saw it as a challenge because there's a lot to consider for documentaries. For example, what I use for B-roll footage, what I'm going to say and who I'm going to interview and what I'm going to ask and stuff like that. So the reason I chose to do it on the decline of music education is because it's a subject which doesn't have a lot of awareness surrounding it. People, especially musicians and music teachers, would want this to be brought into light. It's especially impacting music teachers because their jobs could potentially be in danger due to not enough students feeling motivated to pursue music education. In fact, one of the people I interviewed, Nick, who does A-level music at his college, he teaches A-level music, his job could potentially be in danger due to not enough students coming on to do A-level music. So I decided that my production is best suited to the Raindance Film Festival, more specifically Best Short Documentary, as it isn't a full-on documentary, it is just a short student film. But this is a good way to sort of get my production out there. That's why it's best suited to the short documentary segment. So in terms of research, I found loads of news reports covering why there's a decline in music education. Funding is definitely a big issue, especially lack of motivation in young people because of the rising costs. Music lessons are very expensive as well as instruments, so young people are feeling less and less motivated to do music education because of this. I even found videos of professional musicians explaining the problems with funding and the rising costs of music lessons, all covered in the clip which I will be showing shortly. Also in my research, I found a lot of documentary makers such as Michael Moore and Louis Theroux. I took elements of their style of documentary making to apply to my own, and also in the evaluation process I analysed the similarities and differences between the two, what was similar in my documentary to their types of documentary, and also what was different, and also what I used. In terms of production and planning, I applied my research massively. Again, I used the news reports to find out all the different issues and how I'm going to use them in my documentary. How I plan my interviews, how I decided who I was going to interview. First of all, there was Adam, who was an ex-music technology student, so he's quite passionate about the subject and he had a lot to say on the decline of music education. Reese, who is a local musician from Marlow, he is also very passionate about music, so he had a lot to say on music and music education, his experiences with music education and how young people can be encouraged to pursue music. And also Nick, who I mentioned before, he had a lot to say on the decline of music education. He knows all about it as it impacts him quite heavily. I asked them all how they're involved in music, what music means to them, how aware they are of the decline of music education, as well as how young people can be more encouraged to pursue music education. There's a lot of B-roll footage throughout, as well as narration. I used a lot of connotations of music throughout. There's a lot of instruments being played. I used the articles a lot in my production as well. And there's a lot of music throughout, sort of just to constantly remind the viewer that it is a production about music. So my chosen platform is YouTube. This is for a few reasons. So first of all, it gains a lot of viewers. A lot of people have access to YouTube. They can view YouTube for obvious reasons as well. It is the only platform I have access to. It's the only platform I can upload to. I did research television platforms, things like BBC, and there are a lot of advantages for this. They get a lot of viewers, but of course I don't have access to put my productions on such platforms. Disadvantages include negative commenters. I can't really do anything about that. That is just one of the disadvantages, but that is the reason I chose YouTube for this. So my target audience is 16 plus, and the reason why I decided to make it so broad is because it benefits music students as well as music teachers. That's why they can be of any age. But the reason why it's 16 plus is because the decline in music education is impacting A-level students mainly. Therefore, obviously, people who are 16, that's when they start A-levels. That's what I thought that was the best age to start at. In terms of the development process, there was a lot of decision making and changes throughout. For example, as I found more about the issues in funding, this is where I decided to ask questions in my interviews about why this was an important aspect, as well as why people do not feel encouraged to pursue music as a subject or career. I also realised there's only negativity surrounding the topic, therefore I had to end the production on a more positive note. This is when I decided I needed to ask all of my interviewees, how do you think young people can be more encouraged to pursue music? And my research into types of documentary influenced my decision to make an expository documentary, as it's the most recognisable type of documentary and certainly has the correct elements suited to an informative documentary, as it has to include information, narration, and interviews, which is the best way to cover an informative topic like music education. So I'm going to show two parts of my production now. The first part is just me explaining why there is a decline in music education. How come it's not coming up there?
It's because it's on two screens.
Oh.
It can be quite hard to get it onto the other screen. It's just... Yours on the VLC?
Yeah. Music education is a compulsory subject in most schools across the UK for students in key stages 1, 2 and 3. But in recent times, the subject has been getting less and less popular. Schools have had less uptake in the subject at both GCSE and A-level, resulting in some schools taking the subject completely out, as not enough students are taking it up. But there are many other reasons as well. I will be having a look at the facts and information produced by schools, studies and even politics to find out why music education is in such a state. I have also set out to interview those who are involved in music and music education to hear their take on the situation. My name is Charlie Swadling and this is the decline of music education. For many years now, there's been a concern for the state of music education, and there are many reasons to be considered for this. In an interview in 2011 with Artists House Music, musician David Elliott suggested that one of the reasons of a decline in music education is because music teachers are uncomfortable with the school environment, therefore more music teachers are leaving and retiring, but also there is a problem with funding.
The school setting is extremely unforgiving to teachers, music teachers. First of all, the funding is not there for music. Music teachers, generally speaking, struggle.
This issue was also brought up in a briefing from the House of Lords, where it was mentioned that government budgeting is low. Also, the introduction of EBAC has been blamed, as the brief says it has a negative impact on the provision and uptake of music education in schools. So for the next clip, you'll see some of my interviews where I've asked them how can young people be more encouraged to pursue music.
First off, get involved with outside institutions. For instance, I'm a trustee for Reading Rock Academy. They do wonderful stuff within the Reading area in terms of going into schools and allowing band experiences to happen. And again, other community areas, Ready Pop again, because I'm Reading based, it's Ready Pop. But here, if there are any sort of, again, any institutions around sort of that Henley and the Oxford area, is to, Oxjam especially, they do quite a lot of good sort of charity work as well, and it's getting involved that way to then fuel, I suppose, encourage school teachers to think about it in a different way.
I think they need to go for it and go against, I suppose, to an extent, what they're told. If that's something that someone wants to pursue, something that they really want to do, then they need to do it. There is options outside of school where you can have guitar lessons, drum lessons, whatever you want, but I find them quite expensive. And with school, there was always provided a free music education, and I think that's something that should continue. And it's just trying to enthuse and encourage students to take that on, and not to just go down this more traditional route, and to realise that it's important within society and within education, and hopefully it'll sort of stop the rot.
And I think the best way to encourage kids is because, for example, little boys, what they like Spider-Man, they like things like that, or girls, they like princesses. Maybe that's just me following tradition or something. But the way you can encourage them is by, let's say, what's your favourite movie? Oh, your favourite movie is Spider-Man. Oh, look, it's a Spider-Man thing. Do you want to learn how to play that on the piano? That's probably, I think that's what I would do. I would try and find something that they like and then show them the parallel in that in music, and see if they're up for it, or if they want to learn to play the piano or guitar or whatever. So I think that's probably how I'd go about that as a solution.
So yeah, that's it. Any questions?
No question? Okay. What were the biggest problems that you faced and how did you overcome them?
I think one of the biggest problems I faced definitely during the production process was the interviews. I think they were a little bit last minute, if I'm being completely honest. I did have one interview half organised. It was a student from Great Marlow, but he dropped out quite late on, so that sort of put me in a bit of a position to find other interviews, but luckily, as seen, I did get that sorted out. I think one of my other issues was finding reasons behind the decline in music education, because at the start I was sort of only focusing on the fact that there is a decline in music education. I didn't really consider any of the reasons for it.
So do you think that perhaps if you were going to do this project again, what would be the key area that you'd need to focus on at the start of that?
Definitely the reasons. Definitely, reasoning is definitely very important, as I found, because that is really the thing you are talking about. That is how you're getting your point across.
Okay, so the kind of content research elements.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Thanks, Charlie. Thank you very much.